on
He played a
turn 2.
Spellscape.
Turn 2 for LSV on the left has no play. Turn 2.
Let's give you an idea of what... oh, there's Treasure Mage for a Thopter Assembly.
And of course, go and get the assembly. Seems to be doing that pretty much all the time.
So give you an idea of what Kataoka's playing. He's got 7 Forests, 3 Islands, 8 Swamps. He's playing Grasp of Darkness, Assist Bearer, Azuri's Archer, Slicing Twain, Norak Replica, Ratchet Bomb, Razorfield Thresher.
Ooh, really?
Of Razorfield 14th pick Thresher.
Fame.
Yes. Trigon of Corruption, Treasure Mage, Vidalcan Infuser, 1 Morbid Plunder, 2 Viridian Emissaries, the Thopter Assembly, a Phyrexian Ingester, Blind Zealot, Entomber Exarch, 2 Gliss's Scorn, which we saw those went through Tsuyoshi Fujita's hands very early and could have had a very, very different deck. On those, 1 Vital Splicer, 1 Pestilent Soul Eater, and the Spellscape.
The game score is 2-1 to Kataoka.
Both of these players are playing 3 colors. Luis Scott Vargas is 7 Forests, 2 Mountains, and 8 Swamps. He's got the 2 Plague Stingers. He's splashing for Oxida Scrap Melter. He's got a Tangle Angler, Trigon of Rage, Phyrexian Crusader, Spread the Sickness. He's also splashing Burn the Impure, Phyrexian Hydra, 1 Rot Wolf, 2 Phyrexian Juggernauts, a Plague Mirror, 1 Sphere of the Suns, 1 Blind Zealot, a Caress of Phyrexia, Grim Affliction, Pith Driller, which was his first pick of the draft, 1 Whispering Spectre, which is the card that he got past that put him into Infect and is in play right now, 1 Leeching Bite, 1 Mutagenic Growth, a Viridian Betrayers, a Soul Eater, and a sideboarded, he's probably sideboarding Asceticism and Mindslaver for these games.
So already in play, on the other side of the table from Luis Scott Vargas, there is a Trigon of Corruption, a Treasure Mage, and Spellskite. And Luis has to win this one to force a game 5. Taking his time over turn 4. Plenty going on in Kataoka's hand. Gliss's Scorn, Thopter Assembly, and Morbid Plunder. Couple of lands.
No green mana for
Luis,
LSV,
who has his Phyrexian Hydra, which he will not be playing on turn 5.
He's got his Splash Mountain.
I mean, Oxida Scrap Melter and Burn the Impure is a pretty nice splash.
Yeah. They would both kill a Spellscape right now.
Trigon of Rage, Phyrexian Juggernaut.
I mean, Spellscape really is gumming up everything, actually. Even it can block the Blind Zealot that's in his hand. If he draws any removal for either artifacts or creatures, it's going to pull it in that direction first. So you can't deal with the Trigon of Corruption easily.
So Luis is going to make the Trigon of Rage, send in the Whispering Spectre.
He activates Trigon of Rage and forces Kataoka to pay 2 life to have the Trigon of Rage activation go to the Spellskite instead.
Yep. Very neat.
So he gets in for a poison and 2 damage. 1/10 of the way on each side. He decimates him, as it were.
Now, if it was David Ochoa doing it, it would be Decimator Web.
Oh.
Just saying. Pista Strike has been drawn by Kataoka. That's apparently quite useful against flyers. But Trigon of Corruption goes down 1 and sends the Whispering Spectre away. LSV runs out the Blind Zealot.
So we already have Elie Pichon through to the semifinals. We have David Scharfman through to the semifinals.
There is your Thopter Assembly.
We have a Thopter Assembly in play, so
Back it comes. LSV
things
is
are
passing.
looking very likely like Toshiyuki Kataoka through to the semifinals. I'm not sure that, especially with that Spellskite in play, what Luis Scott Vargas can do here.
Wowie.
He extends
Shakes
a
his
hand.
hand, and Toshiyuki Kataoka takes down the deck that looked amazing. And Luis, I had to hope you didn't see it. Well,
Yeah.
he saw it game after game after game with Treasure Mage. So it wasn't just naturally seen. He had the card to go find it.
Right. Well, what he was hoping he didn't see is the
Oh,
Spellskite stealing the Trigon of Rage boost. He was hoping he could force him to discard 3 cards with the Whispering Spectre. But Kataoka, who, again, when I talked to Shuhei Nakamura, he looked at Kataoka's deck and he could only shake his head. And he proclaimed Luis Scott Vargas the winner of this Pro Tour.
But when we said in the preview, make a case for Kataoka, you said Phyrexian Ingester, Thopter Assembly.
I was half right. Thopter Assembly was the card that showed up every single game for the Japanese player and carries him through to the semifinals. But we're back on to Fabian Thiel and Godinez Vidugiris here in Game 3. Fabian is up 2-0.
So this our 4th and final quarterfinal. We're at Pro Tour Nagoya. Thiele 2 to the good. If Thiele wins this match, you could argue that all 4 underdogs have won their quarterfinals. Pichon over Cox, Kataoka over LSV, Schafman over Fujita, and Thiele, if it happens, over Vidugiris.
Yes. I mean, Schafman probably an emotional underdog. I think looking at the cards as they were drafted.
Yes.
You know,
Arguably not.
Schafman was favored there.
Yep. But coming in. So
Dig with an Icar Wellspring. We've seen so many Icar Wellsprings this weekend. That has become a fixture. It was a fixture of the block constructed format. I wonder if you won't see. It'll be interesting to see whether or not that engine of Phyrexian's core and the Wellspring package can translate into standard once Zendikar rotates out.
Sure.
I know that he knows that I haven't.
That's fine.
Yep, that's going to be an interesting one. The thing is, players loved, when you talk about great mechanics down the years,
Yeah.
players loved cycling.
Immolating Soul Eater from Godinez.
An Icar Wellspring is cycling plus.
Yeah. See an Inquisitor Exarch, Blinding Soul Eater.
So not a lot going on for Thiele over Mine, Flight Spell Woman, Ymir.
Thanks for shot.
There's a Kuldotha Flame Fiend in Thiele's hand right now. Nowhere near getting that cast just at the moment. 5 mana.
She's kind of near. That's a Nested Ghoul.
The 4/2. 3. 4/2.
Danis puts his cards down. Thinks. A lot of people at home in New York cheering for Godinez.
I imagine there are. And they're watching live, so it's what kind of time there? It's best part of 2 a.m., something like that?
It is. It's actually midnight at home right now.
Other way.
So, hello to Bing Luke and Mark Schmidt and other people who are generously hosting viewing parties in New York.
I was talking to Fabian. He says that there are viewing parties going on in Germany right now as well. A whole bunch of his friends got together and barricaded themselves into the local store. And as he said, the draft began at 3:45 a.m. For them on Sunday morning. So
Among them, Pro Tour Kobe winner Jan Moritz Merkel, no doubt.
Yep, absolutely.
A friend of Fabian's.
Well, that's what I have written down.
Players confirming life totals.
Vidugiris with Leonin Relic Water in hand. Plus
Choosing
a couple
to-
of planes.
He's going to tap the Nested Ghoul.
Am I dead?
Think so.
Am I
You're
dead?
on to life, aren't you?
Yeah.
We see the power of the immolating Soul Eater.
4, 5. Why didn't I count it?
Why didn't I count it? Says Tila.
So you're on 2 life. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh
Well.
boy.
The hatred win.
Yeah. That is crazy.
And Tila had a gremlin mine in play. So he's no doubt kicking himself. Maybe could have made a different play, kept the mana up, and been able to take care of the...
Can we take top Americans, please? Top Americans slide in between this game.
We have not seen Tila make a lot of mistakes this weekend. He's obviously kicking himself right now.
So, Galdanis Vidugris, obviously one of the top Americans here this weekend. Let's take a look at how the top 10 or so, top 11 I think we got there, shape up. Obviously, we've got 4 in the top 8. Vidugiris, 2-1 down. Luis Scott Vargas is gone. Patrick Cox is gone. David Schaffman is through to the semi-finals. You highlighted Logan Nettles earlier in the week and said, you know, another of the Magic Online players who are really making it count in the real world.
He's sitting right in front of us right now. Hey, he's sitting there with his cousin Reed Duke.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, those guys were all in the Magic Online Championship Series last year and have, you know, done really good things. We saw Reed make a top 4 at Grand Prix Providence a couple weeks ago.
And then you have the top 32, and these are players who are right in the hunt, no pun intended, Matthias Hunt. But Ben Stark, he lost to Galdanis in the penultimate round and knew he couldn't quite make it in on tiebreaks. Rob Doherty was beaten out by Fabian Thieler in the back end, Greg Hatch, and yet again someone... I think he might have got a feature match really early in the weekend. Josh Shudder-Layton, one of these guys who just basically turns up and without fail makes the top 32.
What about Adam Yurchik?
Yeah.
You know, Adam Yurchik's another person, just a quiet, strong money finish from Adam Yurchik.
He's getting pretty relentless, actually, Yurchik, which isn't something you used to be able to say about him.
He's Yelger-tastic.
For those of you under the age of some... That's a reference to Jelger Wiegersma, the Dutch Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Who is pretty much a machine at the money finish.
Yeah, he's a lot of 27s in his career.
We were talking to Rafael Levy yesterday evening.
He was top 16 in this tournament.
Yeah, and saying maybe just once you could start winning one round earlier. Because that guy has more top 16, top 32 finishes at the Pro Tour than anyone alive.
Looks like we're underway in Game 4.
We are, with Tila 1-0 up. And this is a test of his mental reserves after that opening. Looks like a turn 0 Memnite, as it were.
And a Kuldotha Flame Fiend on turn 1.
Kuldotha Rebirth.
I'm sorry, Kuldotha Rebirth, yes.
To be fair, Kuldotha Rebirth's pretty good. Kuldotha Flame Fiend on turn 1 would be very sexy.
This will do somewhat more damage than a Flame Fiend would at that point.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Mere Sire to mitigate the damage.
Nah, that's a very good answer to a turn 1 Rebirth.
So we heard at the end of the last game, we heard Teal say he just forgot about the Blinding Soul Eater's tap ability.
Yeah.
He just blanked on it. And there is the Immolating Soul Eater that really stole the game out from under Tila.
Tila's trying to put that behind him. Nile Spellbomb.
I draw a card.
Let's just get rid of the graveyard. I draw a card. Cycle through my Spellbomb.
Go.
Third land, pass the turn.
Eager to trade with the Immolating Soul Eater. Dana shatters the token.
Ooh.
Gets in for 3.
Oh, I'm at 18, and then I'm
3? No.
4.
No. Total of 9 times.
What?
One, 2, 3.
How far does this
14,
pump?
So a total of 7 times for.
So that's...
I pay 7 life
Nope.
Pay 14 life.
Yeah,
7 life, you pay 14 life.
14 life.
Yes.
7,
So you're at
8,
6,
9, 10,
and then
11.
This is 8 times pumped.
Yes.
1 from the
9, 10,
mountain.
11 damage, so I go down to 7.
Yep.
Wow. Let's make this game really fast, shall we? That is 7 to 6.
Cardenas is not a terribly aggressive Magic player in general,
Sure.
but he's certainly seen what he has to do here.
Last time he paid 14 life was for Necro.
Gremlin Mine.
Go.
Which will keep him in the game. Teela's all about the late game. Turns out late game was round about turn 3.
Yeah. He's not even going to wait for it. He's just going to kill the Immolating Soul Eater.
Get it done. No Apostle's Blessing.
Take 2, go down to 5.
Synergy.
4 mana. Synergy, says
Cardenas is
Vidigiris.
like, I'm on the 30 plan.
Oh, yeah. There's my 2-1 Infect Flyer.
Go.
That's what we like.
Oh, I'm at 5 life.
Yeah. So 5 plays 6. It's now going to be 3 plays 6.
3
Oh,
and 2.
and 2 poison. Another Mearsire from Vidigiris. And I think we're heading for game 5 sooner rather than later.
Looks like...
Like, now.
Wow.
I'm not going to lie. Immolating Soul Eater is not a card I've paid an awful lot of attention to this week so far. It has slightly
That's
risen
probably
in my...
because you were a theater and English major, right? Not a math major?
There's that. Learn to count.
Although that was... I don't know if Cardenas kind of blanked there and thought he was dealing more damage than he was, but he got him most of the way there, and he just didn't have time to deal with those Kuldotha Rebirth tokens.
Let's take the player profiles for these two, please.
So one game separates one of these two from a semi-final berth. I can tell you that the winner here will go on to face David Schaffman in the semi-finals. And in the other side, we're going to see Toshiyuki Kataoka of Japan against Elie Pichon of France. So Vidigiris and Teela. Let's see if we can take a look at the resumes for these two. There's Fabian Teela from Hamburg in Germany. Just the 25 years old, 7 lifetime pro points. And that qualification, top 50 is actually really hard to do at a Pro Tour.
Top 20 is even harder.
Yep.
In your first Pro Tour. He actually came, I believe, through the PTQ route as well to qualify for Paris.
Uh-huh.
And from there, finished 20th. He said he had to win his last round of the day to get that 20th place finish. And then that carried him through here.
It's delivered pretty superbly, all in all. That been playing since October 2006, 7-3 and constructed 5-1 in draft, 2-2 against the field. He actually played Galdanis in draft and defeated him 2-1 earlier in the last round of draft, that was. And then what about his opponent, Galdanis Vidigiris? We'll take a look at him. Currently living in New York, the 26-year-old, 130 lifetime pro points, been around the block and some with his 5 Grand Prix top 8s and 2 Grand Prix titles. Good job.
Yeah, both of those in limited, as we talked about abundantly this morning.
I think something else that's nice about him is that he's those Grand Prix top 8s, although you see the 2 wins highlighted there, both on home soil, he is very much a global traveller, and he took the opportunity in spring break when he was finishing up at college. He took spring break and he went, I think it was to Singapore. He came to Europe for a couple of Grand Prix with Brian Kowal and Sam Black, made a couple of Grand Prix top 8s in Europe. Great to see that, the people who embrace the full sort of travelling lifestyle. And of course, next year, BDM, if you want Grand Prix action, Martin User, have you got enough pages left in your passport? Something like 50 Grand Prix coming your way next year. Going to be extraordinary.
Yeah, and Godinez is someone who, not normally known for his deck building, but built the mono black infect deck that he and Sam Black ended up playing, collaborated with Ben Dempsey of,
Ben Dempsey, that's right.
of Temporary Solution fame.
From back in the day.
The deck was formidable. It was fast. We saw him do some really filthy things with Whispering Spectre.
One of the interesting things there is that you sometimes see decks that perform well on Magic Online, and you think, yep, there we go, I never lose online. And then you take it into the real world at the Pro Tour, and it gets crushed. And this is an example where it beats everything online and then came here and beat everything. It turns out that Magic Online, I think generally it's fair to say, that Magic Online got this Pro Tour correct, broadly speaking.
Right.
It's fair to say that when you look at the online metagame of a week ago to the Pro Tour metagame right now, and what you're going to see if you dial up on Magic Online in the next couple of days, you're probably going to see more Pure Steel Paladin decks, and you might see a few more 4-color control decks. That's the other archetype that you won't have seen a lot of. But check it out on Magic Online. You get a chance to recreate the Pro Tour. And we are underway in the Decider.
Just a little something about Godinez Vidugaris. He is not Hall of Fame eligible until 2016.
That's right. Not been playing that long on Pro Tour terms.
So this is only his 5th year on the Pro Tour.
So he's got a while to wait. And we are go in Game 5.
Get a Gitaxian Probe from Godinez.
He had a couple of those in his mono black infect deck, in fact.
And one right there. Okay.
Said it acted as half a land, half a 17th creature, if you will. And the information was priceless, because when you wanted to Piston Sledge or Mutagenic Growth,
right,
you knew exactly what was going on. So that's worked for him in both forms of the game this weekend.
And that's a card he had, main deck. He's not...
oh, sure, yeah.
Mirror Sire.
On turn 2 from Go. Tila turn 3. And is this going to be a Zealot? Looks like it might be. Yep, so he has 2 of those Blind Zealots in his deck. He's got Instill Infection there. There's the other Blind Zealot, Tumble Magnet, Gremlin Mine, and Crush. Echo Wellspring from Godinez.
Oh, Glentalk Idol pick up the Echo Wellspring. I'm so jealous.
So nice.
Good.
Plan number 4 for Tila. He's going to send his Blind Zealot into the zone.
16.
Only the... Oh,
I'll take that. And then sacrifice to kill off the Glinthawk.
he could have blocked that with Mirror Sire, but...
Gremlin Mine.
And Blind Zealot number 2.
Just towards the bottom of the screen there, you see the Kuldotha Rebirth tokens from the previous game. I guess go be quite happy to get those out into action again here in the Decider.
Less happy as the game goes longer and longer, obviously.
Sure. But he has essentially won both his games with a bunch of 1/1s.
Yeah. There's his MVP, Immolating Soul Eater. MVP Soul Eater.
The Zealot comes in again.
We block with the Mirror Sire this time. We block with the Soul Eater and trade. Yep. Gonna pay 2 life.
Did 2.
See that Tila now has Kuldotha Flame Fiend into hand. Oh, Instill Infection. Draw.
Got his opponents to pay 2 life.
Memnite, not too exciting at this stage. As you say, the longer it goes, the cheaper the cheap ones become. Banishment Decree in hand as well. Is that active aggression
Is
peeking
that-
out?
Yes.
Okay.
19.
Plays a Memnite.
And passes. Tila has land number 5. Once more into the breach, dear friends. And this is the point for banishment decree
Yeah.
from Gaudenus.
Really sort of a expensive time warp here.
Mm-hmm.
Apologize, I seem to be having a little problem with my microphone.
So away it goes, back to the top. Tila will use 3 of his 5 mana.
And play a Tumble Magnet.
And there's the dice with 3 counters. Back we go to the American.
Attack.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take 2.
Sends in the Memnite and the Sire.
Something interesting. People always feel obligated to use their Tumble Magnet that when they've played it. And sometimes it's perfectly okay to just take some damage.
I guess there's an element of feeling, well, I've cast it. If I don't use it now, and then it gets destroyed, I've actually done nothing with it.
Well, you've drawn out a removal spell.
Oh, sure, absolutely. But I think that's probably the mindset. Like, sure, I can tap something. Well, better do that then.
I can use my mana now instead of on a different turn is also a reasonable play. Then Blind Zealot makes its dramatic reappearance.
Attack.
But not the Soul Eater.
I will tap the Soul Eater. I will always tap the Soul Eater.
Yeah.
Good.
That's the last time you reduce your life total voluntarily by 14 against me.
Yeah. Again, we see this is where Gaudenus really wishes any of these cheap creatures were, you know, more Glinthawks or Glinthawk Idols or Kembis Skyguard or anything that he was hoping would be there in that third pack. You alluded to it when we were talking about the draft, how those cards are usually very deep in pack 3.
Yep.
But just didn't seem to be there. And there were, you know, in addition to 3 white drafters, there was also David Scharfman rubbernecking from the, you know, the oncoming traffic lane, taking cards with white activations that might otherwise fit into this deck as well.
Sure. I mean, this is exactly the kind of situation where if Gaudenus had that Shrine of Loyal Legions,
Sure.
he'd be in fantastic shape.
He'd be pretty happy with a flyer.
Yeah.
Or 2 flyers in light of the Tumble Magnet.
Yeah.
Blind Zealot comes in.
The thing is, Tila's probably quite keen to keep 1 counter on his Tumble Magnet because
Yes.
he does have some proliferate stuff going on. So although there is 1 left, in a way, it's almost like it isn't there right now. It's going to be a pretty extreme circumstance that he feels he has to use the last counter.
Well, remember, he also has the Flame Fiend, so he might use the last counter, untap, eat the Tumble Magnet. So, Mirrodin and Memnite get in the way of the Zealot.
And is this Grim Affliction?
Grim Affliction, proliferate onto my magnet.
Which one are you killing?
Excuse me?
I guess it doesn't matter. Which one are you targeting?
Memnite.
Yep.
So, second counter onto the Tumble Magnet.
And your turn.
And we go back.
Attack.
Not the Soul Eater.
Not the Soul Eater. Talking to Fabian this morning, he was saying, you know, in Paris I kind of played for maybe $2,000 in the last round.
Right.
And then in the last round of Swiss here, I kind of played for $6,000. But then he said, interestingly, that from his point of view, that's it. That's the end of the money. And that this is just a completely different experience. It's a life experience of go under the lights, draft with 7 great guys, be on the TV, as it were, you know, be in front of the community. And then, well, you never know. If I win some matches, then I get even more money. Hooray! But not thinking about that.
2 to you.
Eats the
1,
gremlin mine.
2 to you.
Plays the with the flame fiend.
Kill, 2 to you. Now, Dennis, just checking it is as bad as it seems to be.
Yep, just about that bad.
Yeah, pretty much exactly.
So you're at 12?
Now you can argue that there's a handful of players in this top 8 who are from the just happy to be here camp,
Yep.
right? Fabian and Elie Pichon and really Kataoka, and all three of those guys maybe without the pressure to build their resumes, just able to just put it all aside, have some fun.
Caldanis here has a couple of very good cards in hand in terms of turn to slag and active aggression, but they're not necessarily that super right here. I mean, at least he can get rid of the Flame Fiend with turn to slag, which would be a big deal.
Yes.
But he is down to 7.
And he knows that the longer the game goes, that Fabian has just more and more bombs in his deck. Kind of has to kill the Flame Fiend here. And the problem with the Tumble Magnet's really blanking the active aggression.
So there's your 5 for turn to slag, which is heading towards the top of your screen any second now.
Nope.
Oh.
Oh, is that a Volshock replica? Yeah.
Okay, so he
That
has
represents
to
the most damage.
make... Yep, 3 plus 3. We are so near to the end of the line. In we go.
1.
Go.
I confidently predict active aggression will cost 5 from here on. There will be no more paying of life. There's the handshake.
Yes!
Fabian Thiele rockets out of his chair. Look at that. Look how much it means to him. That's great magic right there.
I had the
So-
Flame Fiend in the game 3 in hand and land also. So I just needed to survive that round. So it was just such a huge mistake.
Well, here I'm talking about where that mistake
Why did I
was really
have
haunting
to
him
take
through those
the
next 2
fire?
games.
Goodness gracious me.
Good luck in the rest.
Thank you. Great job.
Quarterfinals are done. And they were pretty surprising. Let's take you through them. David Sharfman against Tsuyoshi Fujita. On paper, before the draft begins, Fujita, big experiential favourite. 300 odd pro points, Hall of Famer. Sharfman, 21, just coming in.
At first glance, maybe, but Tsuyoshi Fujita does not have a ton of drafts in this format under his
No.
belt, where David Sharfman is drafting on Magic Online all the time, drafting with his buddies all the time, and has a ton of experience with this new format. And came here probably with more burning desire to win than Tsuyoshi Fujita.
Now that I absolutely agree with. It is worth saying, though, that Fujita, yes, inexperienced in the draft format, he was the only 6-0 drafter at the table. So it wasn't like he'd sort of got in with a 9-0 run in Constructed. The guy who was 9-0 in Constructed was 3-3 in draft, was LSV, as it turned out. But David Sharfman, once we saw the decks, Fujita, you watched it with us, did not really go very well. Sharfman, fair to middling, B+, I guess, and certainly more than enough, and every game was pretty much the same way. It all ended 4 guys in the red zone, kill you. Toshiyuki Karaoke against Luis Scott Vargas. Well, Karaoke's deck was fine. You made the case. You said there's a Phyrexian Ingester, and you said there's a Thopter Assembly.
It's bombs, bombs versus Blight Widows, right? It's the aggro infect strategy versus the bomb strategy of Scar's Mirrodin block. Which is going to be? Are you going to be able to be fast enough to get there before the bombs arrive?
I think Bombs versus Blight Widows was like a 1970s Japanese B movie. But Karaoke 3-1 over LSV, and sometimes you just can't do anything about it. If the other guy has the cards in the right order, you're stuck. And LSV, he was clearly bitterly disappointed after that match. I mean, he was gone from the table in 10 seconds flat, but with what looked like a great deck. I mean, his Infed deck looked fabulous.
And I have to tell you, if you asked me if I thought a Razorfield Thresher would advance to the semifinals of the limited Pro Tour Top 8, I would have said no. Obviously, the Razorfield Thresher's in there to give him a second target for Treasure Mage, but, not a card we see a lot of.
It is not. We will see more of it in the semi-finals because Toshiyuki Kadaoka advances, ensuring that there is home hope still for a home winner in Pro Tour Nagoya. Then on the back table we had Elie Pichon of France up against Pat Cox of the United States. Again, you would feel that Cox would be favourite in terms of before the draft set up, and once we got there, Ali was very much involved in the white train wreck that claimed Vegeta. So he ended up 3-1 winning over Pat Cox.
Yeah, Pat Cox had a lot of removal. He had a lot of dinosaurs, but maybe if you draw those cards out of order, you stumble on the mana. Again, it was a very, very aggressive red-white deck from Pichon, and Cox was not able to stabilize.
He got there quickly. And I guess also in a format where the prevailing mood is that it is fairly grindy and slightly slower, and there aren't those red-white Metalcraft decks as much, not as many. Turn 1, there's my Glowhawk, here's my Silver Livestock, Dark Steel Axe, and so on. That there is that window now for aggro to take advantage of the people who are going, yeah, of course I can play my 6 and my 6 and my 6 and my double 7s, which wasn't quite what Pat did, but I mean, he did, as you say, have triple Alpha Tyrannax, so there were plenty of dinosaurs up at the top end.
So Kadaoka and Pichon will meet each other in the semifinals at the top of the bracket.
So what do you make of that then? Kadaoka against Pichon. Aggro from Pichon, Kadaoka, this green-black kind of...
It's really going to be whether or not Kadaoka can Treasure Mage into Thopter Assembly. If he does, then that clearly is...
probably enough.
Him.
Okay. Yeah. And then the match we've just finished with, Fabian Thiele of Germany, keeping his nerve in the face of a very awkward mistake, and also just a ton of aggression from Gaudenis Fidugiris, equalising at 2 each to take the 5th and deciding game. You said to me late on day 1, when you'd had a chat with Thiele, and he was 6-0, you said, it wouldn't entirely surprise me if this guy goes on and wins the Pro Tour.
Yeah, he has all the qualities. This sort of like stoic German backbone, that he's just unflappable in the face of it. I mean, we saw him get a little rattled there, but he's been very patient. We watched him play a match against LSV, where he LSV made a small mistake that was not readily apparent to Luis, but for Fabian, he saw it immediately. He was unflinching. He's like, okay. That resolves, nothing happens. And what was described to me from Simon Gortson about Fabian is that he is, as a chess player, he's not only aware of his plays, but he's aware of the misplays his opponents can make.
Okay.
And he's keeping an eye out for those things.
And that's something that Mike Rohn did to great effect when he won Pro Tour Geneva in 2007. He said chess was a massive influence on the way he went to victory in a limited top 8 there. Well, I don't know about you, but it's made me pretty hungry, all that magic. And here in Japan, that turns out to mean lunchtime. For you, wherever you are, it might be breakfast, dinner, or maybe it's time for a midnight snack. I guess it probably is if you're in New York. But look, whatever you do to get rid of the munchies, join us again 1 hour from now, when we'll bring you the 3rd course in our magic banquet today with the semi-finals. We will see you in 60 minutes from now. Don't be late.